and welcome to the Pink Girl podcast. My name is Sally Jane and I have some different co-hosts today. I have Titus, say hello.
Hello.
And Caleb. Say
Hello.
Rachel is at Granny today, and so it's going to be a bit different. I'm not sure how long these co-hosts are going to last, so we'll just have to play it by ear and see how we get on. You haven't been on the podcast for quite a while, Caleb. What have you been making?
I'm busy making these socks.
Okay, so pause for a moment. Okay, right. So, tell me about these socks.
Been knitting them for quite a while now.
You took a bit of a pause from knitting for a bit, didn't you? A little bit of a break for a while. Okay.
And that's like the first thing I started knitting on after I took the pause.
Okay, and
Stop knitting things.
What yarn is this, sweetheart?
I'm not actually sure.
You got it from the yarn box. Is your label in there?
My label's not in there.
Might be in my book.
This is the yarn.
This is your yarn. And we got it out of the
magic yarn box.
The travelling yarn box. Yes, Caleb really liked this when the travelling yarn box came around. I was very sure that I saw that label somewhere when I was looking for another label. It is, I want to say an opal, but I'm not sure that it is 100% opal. And what are you making from it, my boy?
Socks.
Socks. And who are the socks for?
Me.
For you? Well done. And you're still a bit little to knit, aren't you? Mm. But you did make a whale for Papa at Christmas time. Are you nearly ready to do some more knitting again?
Yes.
You think so? Maybe we should try some more knitting. Caleb, you've done some other crafting though. Would you like to tell us about the other thing that you have you were working on? Some of you may have seen on my Instagram page that I put up a photo of a painting that my dad did of Caleb. Now my dad, although he's a doctor, has done a degree in fine arts and has always been sort of arty and enjoyed the whole sort of art line. At the moment, the medium that he's exploring and enjoying using is oil
paint.
At the moment, the medium that he's enjoying is oil paints and self-portraits. But Caleb's been there and he's been doing some still life. So do you want to show your picture, maybe?
This is my still life at the moment. I've got
okay,
some
so
still
hold
life.
it.
I'm still busy working on some still life.
Another one at Grandpa's house, hey?
Yes.
So this is with oil paint, and then I think they build it up. Don't you? You first do some...
Yes, for this one I just first did you see that top layer? That's what I first did. Then we did the bottom layer. Started working on the bowl.
Okay. Excellent. Well done. And you're doing another one with Grandpa now, aren't you? Yeah. Great.
It's with like sour sorts of things.
Sour sorts of things. Oh, I see. So what's in the still life this time?
Lemon, clemon, a mug with some lime juice.
Oh, I see. So all sorts of sour things. Titus, was there anything you wanted to show, sweetie?
Yeah.
You wanted to show your hedgehog. Do you know where you got your hedgehog from? Mummy's friend Elaine made your hedgehog for you. These
also
are very
known
loved.
as Krimfarki.
Krimfarki, that's right. These are very much, or very loved hedgehogs. So, since we podcast last time, the Olympics has come to an end, which has left rather a big hole in our timetable because we were spending lots of time watching the Olympics. The swimming and the athletics are my two favorite, but we watched all sorts of things actually.
Water polo.
Yeah, and the synchronized swimming and
synchronized diving.
Yes, and the slalom, whitewater rafting, pole vaulting, mountain biking, archery, longbow shooting, decathlons, all sorts of things. It's very interesting to watch.
Triathlons.
Yes, all of these sorts of things. The South African team did very well. We did very well at the track and field. We got 2 gold medals and some silvers and bronze. That was very nice. Yeah, so.
So wasn't there 2 gold medals in running?
In running, yes. Yeah. One for the men's 400 meters.
Which was?
And that was Wayne van Niekerk who won that. And then Caster Semenya won the ladies 800 meter race as well. So well done to Wayne van Niekerk and a very well done to Caster Semenya. I think she did very well despite a lot of focus on her, sometimes very negative, sometimes very nasty stuff that's come out. But we as a South African nation are very, very proud of her and think that she has overcome a huge amount of pressure. And she's got a gold medal, so that's excellent. But you did it. Okay, tell me about your hedgehog.
This is my hedgehog, and I just love him.
And you just love him? Oh, that's good.
And he's blue, my favourite colour.
Is blue your favourite colour today?
And Caleb's but isn't...
I thought you liked orange.
But wasn't orange your favourite colour? Orange is my second. My first favourite colour is actually pink.
Okay, and then?
Then it's orange. Then it's blue.
Okay.
And then it's...
Just those ones.
And then it's red. And then it's green.
Finished.
Okay.
Caleb, what else are you working on?
I'm working on my log cabin.
Your log cabin blanket. Let me have a look. And what number square is this?
That's number square 2.
Number 2. I thought you had another one.
I do.
And didn't Granny sew in all the ends for you?
Yes, she
Yes. And only one more after this. I thought you'd finished 2.
Only finished one.
Only finished 1. Okay. And how many have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you've still got 8 and 9 to finish this one. Very nice. You need to get cracking with doing a bit more crafting again, don't you? Right, you boys want to go off and play some Lego?
Yes.
Okay. Right, so the boys and the dogs are relocated outside, and I will attempt to continue this podcast in a some form of logical fashion without too many further interruptions. Shame, they really, really wanted to be on the podcast again, but they don't last for the whole time, especially not Titus, and he didn't really want to go outside without Caleb. So I know Caleb really wants to be part of the whole thing, but he did get to show you what he was working on, and I will try to make a time that he can be on a podcast again himself. He quite enjoys that. Anyway, shall I get on to what I've been doing? Those of you that watched last time and that have been on Instagram, things like that, will have seen that the collection that Claire and I were working on, the Friends Across the Ocean collection, is out. And there is a knit along on each of our group. And you can enter both with any of the items knitted from the collection. Now, Michelle from Heartland dropped into our knitting group on Saturday and brought a prize for the knit along, which is great. I'm not going to open it because it's all nicely packaged, but just to say that it is a skein of the Howling North Wind, which is the yarn that I used in the Kalma. Hopefully you'll be able to see somewhere along there that there are actually sparkly bits in here. So it is a grey, sort of light and dark grey bits. There's some white bits, and there's even a little bit of pink or purpley. Doesn't pick up that well on the camera, but it's a very it's a lovely colour with lots of different sort of depth to it, which is great. And that's one of the prizes for the knit-along. I am organizing a few more things, so I'll be showing those to you as I get those organized. But just to say thank you very much to Michelle from Heartlam, and you actually get to win a yarn that was used in the collection, which I think is very nice. So yay for that. Head along to the my group, the Pink Hair Girl group on Ravelry, and Claire's Knit Share Love group, and there is a chatter thread on both that you can show what yarns you decided to use, which pattern you're going to do, and then show us what you're doing. And there's a finished object thread as well. Yes, you can enter as many times as you like. Just do a new post for each finished object that you knit from the collection, and it can be any of the items. So on my group you can enter, for example, you've knitted Claire's hat, that's fine, it doesn't matter which one you enter. You know, if it's the opposite person on the opposite group, it doesn't matter, that's okay. And that ends at the end of September, so you've got a bit of time to do that. I chose to use let me just put this one down for a second. I chose to use some yarn that Claire had actually given me. I had this tag like a microsecond ago. There we go. Right. I chose to use the yarn that Claire had given me. It's called Natalie Fergie, and this is 100% organic merino in the Hug colorway, which I thought was quite cool. Now, about yarn substitutions. Oh, what am I making? I'm doing the Winding Road by Claire, the cabled hat. So that's the one I'm doing. About yarn substitutions, right. So, this hat calls for the Eden Cottage DK. Now, DK is not always all the same. This one is 330 meters for the 100 grams, okay, so that's probably more like a sport weight actually, rather than a DK. And it's quite a, it plumps up a bit. You know, some yarns are thinner and more, this one plumps up quite nicely. So, the Eden Cottage DK is 220 meters in 100 grams. So the yarn is obviously much thicker per 100 grams, but I didn't have another, well, I do have some other DKs, but I wanted to use this one. So the next logical thing to do would have been to swatch. No, I didn't. Because, you know, often a pattern knits up differently when you knit it in the round. And by the time I've done a big enough swatch, I might as well have cast on for the hat because, yeah. And I often find the best swatch is to start on the amount of stitches and the type you're going to be doing. Are you knitting flat? Are you knitting in the round? Whatever. It makes a difference to the swatch. If you knit a small little swatch like this and you're going to be knitting in the round or a whole lot more stitches, it makes the gauge completely different. So I decided to just cast on, but I did make a couple of changes. What I decided to use was to change the needle. So I went for a size 3.25 needle instead of a 3.5. So a 3.5 is a 4, and I'm not sure what a 3.25 is. I'm not sure. Anyway, I went down slightly. I didn't go all the way down to 3. I just went for a 3.25, and I thought I'd see how that knitted up when I started knitting. It's got a nice bloom to this yarn, so I thought it would be okay. Then what I decided to do was because the cabled hat is quite, you know, pulls in quite a bit, I would knit the large. I would never, I mean, normally I would knit a medium hat for myself for the finished circumference, and I decided to knit the large because I'm knitting on a slightly smaller needle with thinner yarn. I went up a size, down a needle, and hoped for the best. I must admit, I really do like the fabric. I really, really like how it's coming out. This yarn has a good twist. It's got a nice stitch definition. I think the cables are showing up really, really nicely. And generally, I'm very happy with it. It's got a, the cables bring it in. I mean, it looks quite small when you do that. But you know, it's got a generous stretch to it. And if I compare it to my hat, you'll see it's going to fit fine. It's going to be perfect. So sometimes it's a bit about trial and error, but if I had cast on with these needles and the bigger size and I'd seen, oh gosh, it's still really too small, then I can either decide to knit it for somebody else to make a smaller size, or I could decide to go up a needle size, change the yarn, or whatever. So for me, often, my gauge swatch is just to make certain adjustments, logical adjustments, and then just to cast on and see. It is really the best way to see what is the fabric you're going to get, how are the cables keeping it in, is it tight enough, is it loose enough for your own gauge on that yarn. So I'm a great believer in your swatch being, but don't carry on. I mean, you do need to at some point after you've done a certain section, even if you're doing a cardigan or jersey or whatever it is, to then decide, are you getting gauge, are you close enough, aren't you, and be willing to rip it out then. Be willing to know that you need a big enough swatch, that you do the casting on kind of swatch, which is generally what I do. So this is my casting on swatch, and I am happy with it, so I'm going to carry on. Now, the pattern is very easy, and I know it looks complicated. It looks complicated, all these cables going in all these different directions, but it's in a set number of stitches, and the pattern repeats, and you've only got one cable thing to do per repeat. It's not going this way and that way and this way and that way, all in the same row. So literally you've got one cable repeated in every row where there is a cable. It's not that every row has a cable, but you know, if you're moving stitches one way in each set, you're doing that repeat only. So it's a lot easier than it looks. I mean, you can see there already the cables are going all over the place, but it's only one. See, there are my stitch markers for the different sections. It's between there and there, the same thing happens as between there and there, as between there and there. So you're only thinking of one cable as you're going along. Claire also has tutorials to cabling without a cable needle and all sorts of other things on her blog, and links to that. So go and check those out. I'm really enjoying this hat. It's such an interesting cable. It's quite unusual in where it's going, but it's not difficult at all. It's really, look, you need to be paying attention to where you are on your chart. So the dogs are really noisy outside. I hope you can't hear them too much. It's not completely unthinking. You can't do it completely unthinking, but if you get to the row, see what the cable is for that row, then it's really pretty simple to follow it through. It's not difficult at all. So I highly recommend. This is the Winding Roads pattern. And for those of you that didn't watch last time or haven't seen the collection, go and check out the Friendship Across the Oceans collection that Claire and I have done. We've each done a hat, we've each done a cowl. With yarn, we got 2 skeins and then swapped. So I got one from Claire and one from me, and then we did completely different things with them. So it's very interesting around the theme of friendship and yarn and life travels and all of these sorts of things. So go and check out what we did. And it's been lovely to see the projects popping up on Instagram and all over the place. So that's my hat, and I'm really enjoying this yarn. It's lovely. I'm really, really enjoying it. I think it's got a great stitch definition. So that's my contribution to the knit along. So go and check out both groups, and then you'll see all the information there, ending in September. When you're on my group, don't forget that there is a yarn giveaway from Octopus Yarn. Sorry, I kept on thinking squid because I could picture the little octopus, but it's not squid, it's octopus. From Octopus Yarns. And there is a lovely skein of Kaleidoscope to be won. So go and leave a comment on the group, and there is also a discount code that you can use. So go and check that out when you're on the Pink Hair Girl group. So I showed you my cowl. Just if you hadn't seen, this was my hat for the collections. It's called the Skipping Stones hat, and I'm hoping to make another one of those soon too. So they both used one skein of DK yarn. So go check it out. What else have I been working on? Right, so I have finished some socks. I have to show you these a specific way round because there might be one end that's not sewn in, and I had to tuck it away. But you see, if you can't see it, then you can't tell me the end's not sewn in, because apparently it's not a whip if the ends are not sewn in. So, you see, you can't see any ends, so it's definitely a whip. My socks are finished. And with these socks, Sally and I failed hopelessly. We were supposed to be joining in the Pearl of the Pacific was doing a thing where you swapped 25 grams of yarn with a friend to do the toe, heel, and calf, or just toe and heel, however you wanted to do it. And I got this from Sally when she visited for my birthday, but I only finished the socks last week, which is what I think the knit along or the thing ended in June or July or something. So we failed rather hopelessly. Even worse was that I only sent Sally her yarn last week in the box of things that I was sending her. So, yeah. We did do it well. I've done mine. And she actually sent me another little mini, which I will then cast on my next socks with. So, yeah. We kind of failed at that one. But I really enjoyed doing contrast socks, actually. A little bit more ends to weave in. But 2 socks done. Yeah. The yarn was from Yarn Stash, Peter Maritzburg, and the colorway was, I said the wrong thing last time. I think it's actually called Neon Frozen. Yes, Neon Frozen from Yarn Stash. There we go. I said the wrong. I think I called it, I don't know. I think I called it Luminous Frozen or something. Anyway, Neon Frozen. And I really, really like these. So those are finished. I did, at my yarn group, because everything else I was knitting was a bit complicated, cast on my other leg warmer. The Yoga Socks leg warmers things. I showed you this one last week that was finished in the Opal Floramania yarn that I'm using. And I have cast on and done almost the whole sort of top of the foot section here. I've just got to start with the little ribbing bit there. So that's where I am on those. So no second leg warmer syndrome here. I have cast on. I am using the OM Yoga leg warmers pattern on Ravelry. It's a free pattern. Yeah. So Yoga leg warmer 1 1/4 and done. Love this colorway. I think it's such fun. And what better to do with a bright sort of 80s color than to make leg warmers. And this is in my Knitted Purl It Love It bag that Sally bought me from Texas. My other one that I was knitting in, the one Claire's hat, was in my bag that I made, my Pinky and the Geek bag. The grey for the Geek and the pink for me. This is some of the fabric we used on the little birds that we had at our wedding anyway. So that was my Pinky and the Geek bag. I think it was the Love is in the Air knit along that we'd done, that I made that one for. So that was in that bag. Right, then in a Halloween bag, because it doesn't have to be Halloween to use a Halloween bag, is, remember I told you about the Going for Gold little shawlette that I had done before that I'm going to make into something bigger. Well, I am using the koi goo that I showed you last time, and I've started the second, ball. I managed to get myself entangled up here. And this was to do the pattern in a cowl shape. One, to make it slightly easier. The issue is that nobody likes, or very few people like, doing a pattern on a shawl on both sides. And this one, because it's got twisted stitches, and it is in a knit, in a reverse stocking stitch and then stocking stitch in between, you do have to follow the pattern on the other side, and you do have to do the twisted stitch, and you have to do, so there is work to do, and there isn't a rest row on the other side as per se. So in a cowl, when you're doing it all going just around the front, it isn't as noticeable that you're not getting a break. But a lot of people said they really liked the shawl, and I think I've come up with a way to do it, a better way to do it, in a bigger shawl. So it won't just be a little shawlette. And I contacted Wendy from Yarn Stash, and she's going to do some yarn for me, some yellow or gold, or her interpretation of a gold yarn for that. So that's going to be quite exciting. But I used the koi goo that we got as a gift for Rachel. This is the koi goo. Doesn't specifically have a color name. It's just got a dye lot, but it's this lovely semi-solid yellow, which is actually a lot kind of more goldeny color. Probably a bit more like Pac-Man's color, really. It's not quite as, you can see there is a difference between those two. This one, I suppose, has got a bit more oranges in, or whatever. So I started off with a rib on the bottom to keep it from twisting, some drops or splashes, some little waves here, because I want to use this in the shawl for the idea that I've got. I have, yeah, and then here I've started the little swimmers going up the top there. So that's how far I've got with the cowl. So this will be the Going for Gold cowl, and then I will have a Going for Gold shawl. I think I figured out how to do that. So I'm quite excited about that. And this, if you didn't watch last time, was a little shawl that I designed for Rachel about her swimming, because she would quite like to, well, she wants to take her swimming as far as she can one day. And I suppose going for gold, whether it's Olympic gold or just your own personal best, the best you could do or be or whatever. So it's kind of pushing yourself to be all that you can be, really. And so that's kind of what the Going for Gold is about. So this is a little shawlette that she wears, and I'm kind of changing it up a little bit and upscaling it to make a bigger project. And this is that's how far I've got, but that's a bit complicated with all those twisted stitches to be knitting on a podcast. And as I said, that's in the koi goo yarn, so in that bag. And then the only other thing that you've seen me knitting while we've been going along is the still Rachel's Kitty vertebrae, which I haven't done much on at all since the last time it was out on the podcast. I really must just get it done now. It's only the sleeves to go. I wonder if she wants some 3/4 sleeves. I know what I wanted to ask. No, I might know about designing things, and even then I'm learning, and I've got loads of things to learn. What I don't know so much about, and I'm going to ask those of you that probably do, or that know more, I have a Swift and ball winder. And when I use the two together, I seem to not land up getting a ball that looks like this, a cake, whatever. It's doing it a little bit on this one, maybe not quite as long. They seem to collapse, like where the yarn starts to kind of come, instead of staying in a circle on the outside, they seem to get very, very tangled over each other. And when I was knitting, especially with the lace weight ones, the yarns were so tangled that I actually had to rewind or ball, and just by hand, ball the whole thing. Does anybody know why sometimes you're able to, on this ball winder, I don't seem to be able to get a nice cake, and why it's collapsing in on itself or not catching on the outside? It seems to, instead of catch the outside, it seems to kind of lie across the top and not, just not sit quite right. So I've actually been hand winding most of my balls at the moment, which is fine. I mean, you will see the other one I did that with was this one. I don't mind hand winding, but I would quite like to be able to use my ball winder again. So any tips from those that maybe dye yarn or wind cakes a lot and know how to make a cake look proper? I don't know if it's the relationship between the Swift and the ball winder, if there's a certain distance, if there's a certain height, if sometimes the skein sticks a little bit, as you wind around, then it pulls, and it seems to change the tension on the ball, and then it seems to go a bit funny. So if anyone's got some great tips on how to wind a nice cake of yarn, I would be very pleased to know, if you don't mind sharing that. That would really help. So as I said, this is the kitty vertebrae, and this was is in the Norro yarn. I think it's called Flower Garden, Secret Garden, I'm not really sure. and it was a kitty vertebra size, so you'll see it's for Rachel. Rib on the bottom. Also, she also wanted this kind of she also wanted this garter rib thing that I'd done on my sleeves there, and on the band, and the bottom of mine has this garter rib, and so that's what I've done on hers. That's what she wanted as well. So I'm just on it's only the first sleeve still. This has really been ages. She did most of the body, but she's in a funny place with crafting. She's not wanting to do as much. Oh, and I am very aware, which is probably why I might have chosen today to podcast, subconsciously or not, that there is an issue with the volume at which Rachel speaks on the podcast. I have asked her repeatedly to speak up, and I know it's an issue, but in editing it's very difficult to edit one voice up because then it makes my voice too loud, or it distorts, and I am aware of it, and she does want to be involved in the podcast, and I'm really not sure how to address the problem of her being too quiet, or you guys not being able to hear. And I know it's frustrating to watch a podcast and you can't hear half the time what the person's saying. I've stopped watching podcasts if the volume is too bad and I can't hear what they're saying. It's just too frustrating. So I do understand it's an issue. I'm not really sure what to do about one person whose sound is not good enough. I may have to get her an external microphone or something, I'm not sure. So bear with me. I know you guys enjoy seeing her, and I will try to figure out a way to fix that, because just asking her and keep on telling her to speak louder isn't working, because I do tell her to speak louder every single episode. So yeah, I am aware of it, and I'm sorry for those that it's been a bit irritating. We'll try and fix it. That's all I can say. I know people do enjoy seeing her, so we will try and fix that problem. Right, what else have I got to show you? I've got 2 acquisitions. Now, the one acquisition was a parcel, a gift from, well, they're both actually gifts from friends. The one is from Nina, and I photographed it on the table, and then it was so good that I promptly packed everything away. So I have managed to find, instead of putting them on the table on the side there, which is what I normally do, and then I show them on the podcast and then pack them away. But because I unpacked the box to take a photograph, I then just promptly packed everything away. So I've managed to gather up most of the things. There are 2 balls of yarn for Rachel in yellow that have disappeared into the abyss of her teenage bedroom. And I did have a small look, had a small heart attack, and then walked out and closed the door again. So I will put a picture in of what it all looked like when it arrived. And thank you very much to Nina, who sent the parcel for us. She sent us stuff for the Red Cross Burns unit, so we're able to start again with our collection. She sent us 10 washcloths, which is amazing. So there are all of these ones. So there are these ones. And all of these ones. Look at that one, it's even got a little bow in it, isn't it cute? All of these. So look at that. Thank you so much, Nina. This will go straight into, and a little hat, look at that. Isn't that the most precious, gorgeous little hat you've ever seen? It's a teeny tiny one. And the Burns unit uses hats of all sizes, from very small babies right up to adult size, because they go up to 16, and if you think a 16-year-old boy has an adult size head, so yeah, they use hats of all sizes. So thank you very much. That's fantastic. That's really great. So we thank you very, very much for your support, and these will start again because we just keep going, every year we just keep saving up things for the next time. So thank you very much. She also sent us some chocolates, which were sea salt and caramel, and they were very nice. They didn't last very long. Everybody liked those. Caleb's favorite is caramel and sea salt, so salted caramel. So those went very fast. And then we've got some teas. some different kinds of teas. This one doesn't say. It's just got a rose on it, so I presume it smells rosy. It's very nice. And this one is lemongrass, lemon, and lemon verbena, which sounds lovely. So, some more teas for my tea box, which is great. She sent me some Lorna's laces in tickled pink, which is such a great colorway for me, hey? That was for me. And some washi tape and some oil pastels for the children, which are going to be very helpful because on Thursday, we are going to go, I live on the west coast of South Africa, and it's quite a desert sort of region. It's very dry. It's hot and dry, up, especially further up from me, up the west coast. And right up into sort of a quite arid desert region. But what happens is after the rains of the winter, and as it starts to get slightly warmer, the most amazing wild desert flowers come out. And it's just carpets of beautiful, beautiful flowers. I apologize profusely for all the barking this week. So as I say, it's quite a sort of a desert region. You have to go right up to where the actual sort of desert area is. It's about a 4-hour drive up to sort of Springbok and places like that. So we're not going to go up that far. But on Thursday, we're going to go with another homeschool family. And we're going to drive a little bit further up from us, about an hour and a half, 2 hours up the coast, to a little nature park up there. And we're going to go with the kids to go and draw the wildflowers. So the pastels are going to be a great help for that. So we'll stop, we'll have a little picnic, and each of the kids can do a drawing of the flowers. That'll be really nice. So thank you so much, Nina. And as I said, there was yarn for Rachel, and it's in her bedroom somewhere. I don't know where it is. I'm not going to try and find that today. It could lead to heart failure. I'm sure any of you with teenage or preteen, I know 11 sounds really young to be calling a girl a teenager already, but I mean she's 12 next month, and really we're fully into the throes of the teenage stuff. So yeah, a bedroom disaster. And I know there's a point where you have to let them have their own independence. So yeah. The other parcel I got was from Sally Wool Diaries. And this was 2 balls of Regia. Now, where's your label, Mr. Regia yarn? You came with the label, which normally shows that the kids have been digging in the box. Anyway, 2 balls of Regia in the 6 ply, which is like the double knit. So you knit it on, I think it's probably more like sport weight actually, but anyway, it's 150 grams, and you can knit it on thicker needles, which is, it's like the ones I knitted for my friend's son on the bigger needles. And Emma, surprisingly, Sally showed me all sorts of different colors. Emma surprisingly actually chose 2 really bright colors. So yeah, these are the ones that are going to be his socks, and I don't know if they have color names. I don't think so. Yeah. So those are 2 that are going to be for the geek socks. There was a sale at her local yarn shop, and she said, "What did was there anything I wanted?" And I just said if they did have any of the thicker sock yarn for Emma, that would be great. And then she sent me more tea. I've got Sweet Dreams and Very Berry and Daily Detox. Some white tea and peppermint licorice, and I think that's all of the different kinds. There's quite a few of each of those. Sally keeps me well stocked in tea. I have a box. I'm sure I showed you last time. So I have a box with all my tea, and as you can see, I'm probably not going to run out soon. I'll go to the box and then choose what I'm having next. So there's all my different teas, and then she also sent me some mini skeins for my blanket, which was very kind. all sorts of things in there that I haven't used yet, which is great because you know the mini skein blankets. I sorted mine out the other day. Mine had got into a bit of a mess, and I sat down, put the blanket out on the floor, and then the geek and I put out all the little mini skeins, and had to kind of see if they'd been used. Some of the colours are quite close. It was quite hard to tell with some of them, but the geek and I then set about seeing which ones we'd used, which ones we hadn't. So thank you so much for all those mini skeins as well. I think that probably, with all the dog barking and the boys and everything, should bring this episode to a close. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will be with you again in a fortnight probably. We'll tell you all about our trip up the West Coast and the other things that we've been doing. Thanks for joining us. Happy knitting, and come enjoy our knit along. Bye.